Table of contents, brutal truth, regulatory, rundown startup horror stories, founder FAQ advice. You didn't ask for last laugh, hands down, some of the best 0% interest credit cards, pay no interest until nearly 2027 with some of the best handpicked credit cards this year. They are perfect for anyone looking to pay down their debt and not add to it. Click here to see what all of the hype is about. Learn how to apply. Now, brutal truth, your team's not lazy, they're just dead. Inside, your team doesn't need another pizza party. They need therapy, or at least one full night of sleep that isn't haunted by Slack pings and just looping back emails. Let's clear something up. Your team isn't unmotivated, but they're mentally tap dancing on the edge while pretending to care about your Monday morning Miro board. They don't hate the mission. They hate that your version of mental health support is reposting a Brene Brown quote on LinkedIn while casually scheduling a 7 p.m. check in. Spoiler alert, no one wants to circle back when they're circling the drain. According to a Times article this week, yes, we read it so you don't have to, you're welcome. Ignoring mental health is now officially bad for business, like losing money bad. Turns out that chronic anxiety, endless Zooms, and working through the flu because your founder thinks NyQuil is a performance enhancer isn't exactly a recipe for productivity. Who knew? And yet, here you are, proudly burning through developers like scented candles, announcing no meeting Fridays while rage pinging your entire team at 10 p.m. on Thursday, offering your team a free subscription to a meditation app as if that's going to fix the existential dread of a toxic work culture built entirely on fear, guilt, and that one rock star in sales who hasn't taken a day off since 2021. Let's be brutally honest, because someone needs to be. If you're not actively investing in your team's mental health, you're actively investing in their future resignation emails. Yes, they're coming. And yes, they're going to be spicy. Companies that actually give a damn are putting real money into therapy stipends, boundaries that don't collapse under pressure, and a culture where saying, I'm not okay, doesn't get you passive aggressively cut from the product roadmap. So keep telling yourself that burnout is just part of the startup journey. Just don't act surprised when your top engineer bails mid sprint and your Glassdoor rating drops faster than your serotonin levels. Mental health isn't a luxury. It's your last hope at not becoming another VC cautionary tale with a ping pong table and a body count. So if you survive your runway, you better keep an eye out for your team's mental health because more than lack of funds will kill a project. Regulatory rundown burn the earth, but save the blockchain picture. This, your climate tech startup, is valiantly trying to save the planet one solar panel at a time. And meanwhile, your crypto bro roommate just rode off a Lambo thanks to regulatory relief. Welcome to America 2025, where green startups get kneecapped and the blockchain gets a bubble bath. As someone who has been heavily involved in emerging tech and Web3, it's a welcome reprieve, but the loss of tax credit for my Tesla is a major financial hit. Bittersweet confusion. The Trump administration's proposed rollback of the Inflation Reduction Act's green tax credits has basically set the climate tech world on fire, ironically, without the benefit of renewable energy. Startups in solar, battery storage, and carbon capture are either pivoting, packing, or pricing one-way tickets to Europe where eco-friendly isn't considered communism. Q1 alone saw over a 50% drop in climate tech VC funding, and that number's looking frostier by the day. Color me a communist for not wanting to see the coral reefs die off every year off my state coast. And while green founders are playing whack-a-mole with disappearing incentives, crypto startups are popping champagne over Executive Order 1478. The order torched Biden-era guidance around CBDCs and reversed SAB 121, which previously forced banks to list crypto assets on their balance sheets like radioactive liabilities. Translation: banks and fintechs are now free to custody crypto without the accounting headache, and the market is giddier than a Dow in a bull run. Gonna be honest, this is a refreshing change, so it's a bit of this and that this week in the fractional world. What's even more dystopian? The same administration that thinks clean energy is code for deep state just handed crypto entrepreneurs the regulatory equivalent of a weighted blanket. Meanwhile, founders building literally anything to slow planetary collapse are being told to bootstrap harder or just partner with Exxon. Cool, cool, cool. Serious mixed bag this week for anyone who believes in emerging tech but also wants to save the planet. This isn't just frustrating, it's game changing. Investors are pulling climate dollars faster than you can say carbon neutral, while cash is flying into anything ending in coin, token, or AI powered NFT chat layer. In a sane world, the startup ecosystem would reward innovation that, doesn't lead to mass extinction. But in 2025 America, innovation who makes money for the administration, not what is truly best in totality. Startup Survival Kit, Climate Scorched, Blockchain Blessed Edition. Here's what you actually need to do in this backwards regulatory environment. Climate tech founders, start building grant and funding pipelines in the EU or Canada yesterday. Consider B2B partnerships that rely less on federal tax credits and more on corporate sustainability mandates, aka greenwashing budgets. Adjust your investor pitch to highlight cost savings and energy security, not just saving the planet. Too emotional, apparently. Crypto founders, take advantage of the SAB 121 rollback by exploring custodial services or partnerships with traditional banks. Stay cautiously optimistic. Federal love can turn into federal subpoenas. Have legal counsel review all your new freedoms. Use this window to clean up your compliance house. A relaxed rule doesn't mean no rules. In summary, if you're building climate tech, Washington just ghosted you harder than your last Tinder match. If you're in crypto, congrats. Daddy government just handed you a legal back rub. But beware, nothing in politics stays consistent longer than a meme cycle. Prepare, pivot, and please don't store your entire runway in ETH. If you want to make sure you can pivot when the overlords change winds faster than a cocaine dealer leaving Miami Beach, chat with us, https www.finsuit consulting. COCA, it won't hurt unless you like it that way, because we don't like to yuck someone's yum. When your app can't get it up, even with $1.75B in performance enhancers. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Hollywood delusion and Silicon Valley ego, a boomer and a boardroom walked into a pitch meeting and said, "Let's make TikTok, but for people who hate fun and don't understand phones." Thus, Quibi was born, short for quick bites, but spiritually aligned with quick bust. This app had all the ingredients of success. Everything except product market fit, self-awareness, and literally any understanding of how humans consume content in the 21st century. Meet Doug Evans, a man who looked at his hands one day and thought, what if we made these obsolete but sexy? Doug was the kind of founder who definitely practiced tantric juice cleansing and probably whispered exponential growth during climax. Armed with nothing but raw sexual energy for vegetables and a pitch deck that must have included some serious safe words, he set out to build the Hitachi magic wand of juice extraction. Launched in April 2020 by the Lion King daddy himself, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and Meg H.P. was my personality Whitman, Quibi was supposed to revolutionize streaming by offering high-budget, short-form video content designed only for your phone, not your TV, not your iPad, just your phone, and only in vertical format, because nothing screams cinematic experience like watching a $100 million thriller unfold between your thumbs while waiting for your Starbucks order. To make things worse, and by worse we mean funnier, they actively disabled screenshotting and sharing. Because virality is gross and we hate marketing. So you couldn't even send your friend a "yo, this is wild" clip, which is exactly what you want from an app trying to be the next viral video platform. Total isolation. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jeffrey and Meg had raised $1, $75 billion. That's billion with a B, as in, boy, did you just waste half of Hollywood's money? With funding from Disney, NBC Universal, Alibaba, and more, Quibi had the financial stamina of a yacht-fueled orgy in Cannes, and still couldn't last longer than your average TikTok thirst trap. It fizzled out in just 6 months. That's not a metaphor. That's a diagnosis. The best part? They blamed the pandemic. As if people stuck at home with nothing to do but watch content were somehow the reason no one wanted to watch Reno 911 in 8-minute chunks, exclusively in portrait mode. Yeah, sure, Jeff. The problem wasn't your outdated vision of a mobile first world, it was us. We were the problem. Just like your ex who said, "It's not you, it's for sure my lack of bolt ons and pillow lips that caused our marriage to fail." Let's be real. Quibi wasn't just a bad idea, it was a masterclass in how not to listen to your audience. They didn't test demand, they didn't build community, they didn't even consider that maybe, just maybe, people don't want to watch emotionally intense dramas while half reading a text from their mom. This was tech theater at its peak, a boomer driven vision of what the youths might like, served with the energy of a midlife crisis and the staying power of a Tinder date who says they're a fitness influencer while tucking their second chin back into their neckline. And the moral of this sad, steamy startup tale? Runway doesn't matter if your plane's on fire. You can have $1, $75 billion, Emmy winning actors, and Steven Spielberg whispering into your tech stack. But if you don't have product market fit, you're just making expensive trash in high def. Even worse, you're making it vertical. Modernize out of home with AdQuick unlocks the benefits of out of home. Ooh, advertising in a way no one else has. Approaching the problem with eyes to performance, created for marketers and creatives with the engineering excellence you've come to expect for the internet. You can learn more at www.adquick.com. Ayesha founder FAQ, International Expansion and Compliance Q. How do I manage compliance when expanding internationally? A. By realizing that every country has its own flavor of red tape, and ignoring it will get you fined, banned, or publicly roasted in a language you don't understand. Expanding internationally is like dating someone from another country, exciting, full of potential. But if you don't respect their customs and laws, you're going to get ghosted, or worse, deported, especially if you are currently in the US and not from here. Womp, womp. Anywho, every country has its own regulatory ecosystem, and while you might think you're bringing innovation to their doorstep, they might just see you as a foreign data goblin with no respect for their privacy laws. Spoiler, but it works in the US, is not a defense in front of the German data commissioner. Start by understanding that compliance isn't one size fits all. That shiny GDPR checkbox you added for your EU users? Cute. Now meet Brazil's LGPD, Canada's PIPEDA, and Singapore's PDPA. Also, if you're dealing with payments, taxes, or hiring, welcome to an alphabet soup of tax codes, labor protections, and digital regulations that don't care how agile your sprint cycles are. Most founders wait until they've already launched to figure this out. That's a mistake. You'll want local legal counsel, not just a Google Doc titled Expansion Notes V7 Final. Also, remember that compliance is not just about dodging fines, it's about trust. If you show up in a new country with sloppy legal footing, local customers, partners, and even investors are going to smell the amateur hour from kilometers away. You don't want to be that startup who tried to AI agent their way into a foreign market and got shut down mid-launch by the French data police. They don't play. Here's what you should actually do. Before you even soft launch in a new region, consult an international business attorney or a compliance specialist with in-country experience. Research whether your platform requires local data hosting or representation. If you're handling payments, get an accountant or firm that understands VAT or GST filing, because we forgot to register for taxes is not a fun story to tell your board. And finally, localize your policies, terms of service, and privacy docs. Copy pasting from US templates is basically an open invitation to get sued in 3 time zones. Also, check out https www.there33f.com, where you can browse professional templates, events, and courses by actual pros from all industries and types to help you stay covered and build relationships prior to spending thousands. It's free to browse, free to list if you're a pro, and free to connect and chat with pros. Advice you didn't ask for. The only thing that matters in the long haul is free cash flow, plain and simple. Forget the hype and focus on fundamentals. Kevin O'Leary, billionaire, Shark and capitalism's favorite villain. Make it rain. Just enough not to die. Let's start with a hard truth, babe. Profitability is cute, but cash flow is hot. Like sweaty, pulse racing. Should we get a room? Kind of hot. And if you're a startup founder running around preaching the gospel of long term margin optimization while your bank account is emptier than your team's morale after back to back stand ups, you're doing it wrong. This isn't theoretical econ class. This is survive the next payroll or die trying. Look, we all love a nice clean P&L where the numbers go up and to the right and investors get tingly in their Patagonia. But that dreamy profitability fantasy, that's a later thing. A post Series B, we've actually got a business thing. Right now, you need to have actual cash in your actual account, or your startup is going to go the way of Kiwi, just with less celebrity cameos and a sadder group chat exit. And please, for the love of Beyonce and basic math, stop confusing profit with cash flow. You can be profitable on paper and still be broke as hell because your customers are taking 90 days to pay their invoices. Your inventory is a graveyard of unsold features, and you accidentally paid that AWS bill twice. Again, get it together. Cash flow is what keeps the lights on. It's what lets you make payroll without Venmoing your co founder at 3 a.m. with the caption, PLS don't hate me. It's the blood, the breath, the duct tape holding your glorified group project together. Every founder who's been through the valley of death knows this. If you're not watching your cash runway like it's a hot person across the bar, you're going to get ghosted by your own startup. But USSGPT, you say? We're pre revenue, we're still validating the market. Okay, cool. Then validate a way to not run out of money. That's literally your job now. If you don't have cash flow, you need a clear, realistic path to it. That means tightening expenses, invoicing like your life depends on it, because it does, and, if needed, sending your pitch deck to anyone who's ever said angel investor on LinkedIn. Want a little guidance? Great. Start forecasting your cash flow weekly, not monthly, like you're a chill enterprise. Chase down every invoice like it's your last drink ticket at a conference side event. And for the love of term sheets, stop adding new SaaS tools unless they directly generate revenue or reduce churn. You do not need another 49-month productivity app when you're running on caffeine and broken promises. Look, I'm not saying don't aim for profitability someday. Dream big, you beautiful little delusional hustler. But today, stay liquid, stay lean, and stay out of the financial ICU. Profit might impress the press release crowd, but cash flow is the reason your team shows up to work without crying in the bathroom. The last laugh.